Well, I'm going to start to kind of button everything back up. And to start with, I'm going to come in here and scrape off the old sealant around the differential. And so it's pretty basic. Just get in here. I don't have any razor blades. If you got any single edge razor blades, I recommend that. All I have is this kind of paint scraper, but this will certainly get the job done. So just kind of come in here, scrape it off, or if there's not RTV, the old paper gasket that was on there, you want to get that off of there. And so yeah, pretty basic. Just come in here, scrape it off, both on the actual casting side, and don't forget to scrape it off your diff cover as well. Well, we're ready to come in here and lay our new gasket in here. I've got all the old RTV sealant scrubbed off, and I'm just doing one little final wipe down around the perimeter with a cloth, and then I'm going to get into here and get some more of that. There's some gear oil and some brake parts cleaner in there. You want to have a clean and dry as surface as you possibly can. Okay, so that's good. And I found some new stuff I've never seen before. This is actually gear oil RTV gasket maker, specifically for applications where you're using gear oil, like a rear end or a manual transmission, an old manual transmission. I don't know if you watch some of my other videos, the genius kid that I bought this truck from, this truck has a 3-speed Saginaw transmission. Well, the genius kid that I bought this truck from put ATF in that transmission. Old transmissions take gear oil, not ATF. So we'll come in here and just to show you the end of the cap, it goes on there. You can see in there, it has a little puncture. You just take it, pop it in there. That's how you puncture, you open up your RTV sealant. So we'll get started laying a bead on here. It's gonna be kind of tricky working around all these brake cables and stuff, but we'll get it. So the bead doesn't have to be super duper thick. You know, I just do about 1/4 of an inch, and I try and get around the bolt holes all the way. The real key is to try and make it continuous. You don't want to have breaks in your gasket, at least not a significantly wide break in your gasket. This is gonna, around that booger is gonna be hard. Okay, hold on. All right, done with that. Put our cap back on. Get our bolts out of our differential cover. We'll get this set in place. You can see here, this has kind of a little notch cut in there. That's for this area right around the brake. So, get this around the brake lines. Get it up in place and start running a few bolts. And that's about it. Just run your bolts in. I'm going to leave these two out for the brake lines, and I'll tell you why. I like to let this stuff set for about an hour, at least an hour, before I add gear oil. Even on the directions, it says to wait an hour for it to cure up a little bit. It cures fully in 24 hours, but wait at least 1 hour before you fill this differential up with gear oil. So I'll just get all these bolts put in, get them snugged down, and then we'll get to working on the brake line. Okay, so while I'm letting that RTV sealant set up, I'm going to come in here and replace this the one rear flex line. We've got 2 hard lines coming off of it at the axle end, 1 bolt here on top that just bolts it to this bracket that's bolted to the differential, and 1 hard line coming in here at the front. This hard line, this fitting is takes a 7/16 inch wrench, and the other ones take a 3/8, and then I believe that top bolt takes a 1/2 inch. So we'll get started taking these out. Okay, so I got the new rear brake line installed, and thankfully this was no big deal. I'm glad I did it. It appears that the one that was in there before was the original, because I didn't find any evidence of anybody trying to get these brass fittings undone. So they're all good, they're all tight. Got a new rear flex line, and we're still waiting on the RTV to set up, so I'm going to go and over here and work on the parking brake cables. Alright, so I got all the parking brake cables put into place and kind of adjusted them down a little bit. I'm going to wait till the drum brakes adjust themselves out, and then I'll go in and readjust the tension on the parking brake cable. So anyway, now I'm ready to bleed the brakes, and I got this tool, this Mighty Vac tool. I've never used one of these before to bleed brakes. I've always done it with 2 people, someone inside pumping the brake, and someone, usually myself, out unscrewing the bleeder valve. So anyway, I'm going to try this. I've seen these before, and I figured I'd buy one of these, because I actually do bleed brakes quite often. Unfortunately, I'm not a real big fan of it, so unfortunately I bleed brakes pretty often, but it seems to be a pretty complete kit. I did buy this at Harbor Freight, but I don't believe it to be Harbor Freight brand. They have their house brand of all kinds of stuff, like Pittsburgh Hand Tools and Chicago Pneumatic and Chicago Electric and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a little plastic vacuum pump. Effectively what you do is you put your hose. You've got a whole bunch of fittings here, kind of little brake line fittings. So you put your fittings on your bleeder valve, then you run the hose to the cup. The cup has a little cap. Then you run, so one end goes to your bleeder valve, the other end goes to this vacuum gun. And what you do is you squeeze down on this, and you build up some vacuum, and then you open the bleeder valve. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it works. I don't know. It had pretty good reviews on the website, so least I can do is give it a shot. So let's get going on that.